Second warning. Let's see. Do I have my... 3, 2, welcome. I'm Mayor John Lewis. We just finished another meeting, and so we apologize for being a couple minutes behind. 3 council members will be joining us in just a few minutes, and when they come, I will introduce them. But for right now, this is Councilmember Jen Daniels, Councilmember Victor Peterson, Councilmember Jordan Ray. Thank you for coming. And to the council members, we have out here our favorites, our Student Citizens of the Month, and we are so glad you're here. And thank you for bringing family members and teachers and your principals, administrators. This is one of our favorite activities of the month. For each of you, we thank you for whatever you're doing, and that would be really nice if we spent a lot of time to tell everyone what you're doing. And yet we keep it simple. We have you come up, we state your name, we give you something special, and then afterwards we tell you to go out and buy or get an ice cream cone or something in Gilbert, and then go home and study some more. But we have a couple of announcements before we start, and the first, and we'll do a PowerPoint pressing enter, that Saturday is Aviation Day at the Gateway Airport. And this is a free event for families from 9 to noon. There will be a lot of different things on display. Invite you to look for the details on that, and you can show up at Gateway Airport, a great family activity this Saturday. The second slide we present is the Kapow superhero race that will take place in just a few Saturdays. And one reason why I wanted to show you these 2 slides is for each Student Citizen of the Month, there's a bag they'll receive, a Shop Gilbert bag, and there are flyers about these events in the bag. If you are here and you wouldn't be tied to one of the Student Citizens of the Month, some of these flyers are in the back of the room. The third slide is about the Mayor's Character Counts race. We have 6 pillars up on the wall to my left, and in our schools, those traits are talked about as character counts. And we have a race to support a recognition program for students in Gilbert that display those characteristics. And so that race is coming up too. It must be time for us to enjoy the spring weather and get out and run. And so you've got a flyer on that too. So with that, those are 3 great activities coming up in Gilbert, and we invite you to participate. Now the next slide will describe, we have 3 groups to come up. The first 2 groups are those Student Citizens of the Month who are in elementary school. The first group will be A to J, and that's if your elementary school, the first letter of the elementary school is A to J. You'll come up in group 1. Group 2, as you see, will be the rest of the elementary students, and then group 3 will be all those in junior high and high school. So at this point, if you are in group 1, if your school starts with a first letter of A to J, and you're in elementary school, please come on down and stand right behind me in this area. Come on down. And we will call each student up one at a time. We'll have them stand in this general area. They get to have a picture with the mayor. And if you have a camera, you can take a picture, and just feel free to come on up. And at the end of group 1, we'll take a larger group picture so that all council members can join that picture. And Gardenia, we're putting this on Facebook, and what else should we tell them?
Like us on Facebook.
Oh, like us on Facebook, of course. So these pictures will go out on Facebook. They'll go out on our website, and feel free to like us. And Gilbert Digital is just fabulous in taking care of this. So Gardenia, thank you. Who celebrated a birthday just about a week ago. Just about a week ago. Yeah. All right. Councilmember Jen Daniels is the one with that voice that you just love to hear, and so she will be reading the names of each student. And the first student, we'll kind of show them how to do it. We'll get up here and show the plaque, take the picture, and you'll see it real fast. So Councilmember Daniels.
Thank you, Mayor. From Ashland Ranch Elementary, Caleb Roten. You'll want to get ready. From Burke Elementary, Naina Sherry.
Did we say your name right, honey?
Oh, we did? Okay. From Carroll Ray Ranch Elementary, Hannah Heffern. From Coronado Elementary, Blair Bowden. From Finley Farms Elementary, Jaden Gutierrez. From Gateway Point Elementary, Kyle Graville. From Gilbert Elementary, Xander Olivo. From Greenfield Elementary, Nicholas Landers. From Highland Park Elementary, Rachel Lamb. From Houston Elementary, Jacob Hernandez. From Imagine West Gilbert Charter School, Ann Yamamoto. And from Islands Elementary, Keaton Gunlack.
So group one, I'm now going to have you stand right in this vicinity. We're going to do a group picture. We'll get the other council members who are here with us in the picture. You can come step right over in here. A big round of applause for group one. Thank you. If you are in elementary school and your school begins with the first letter of K to Z, please come on down.
her to get back to her.
And Councilmember Daniels, please continue.
From Mesquite Elementary, Jordan Reed. From Neely Traditional Academy, William Logan Hester. From Oak Tree Elementary, Cohen McGraw. From Patterson Elementary, Audrey Tribby. From Pioneer Elementary, Mateo Montez. From Playa del Rey Elementary, Clayton Downs. From Power Ranch Elementary, Sarai Bush. From Quartz Hill Elementary, Cody Vasquez. From Settlers Point Elementary, Jack Habersky. From Sonoma Ranch Elementary, Jackson Wilcoxon. From Spectrum Elementary, Caitlin Bowe. From Town Meadows Elementary, Josh Lipscomb. From Val Vista Lakes Elementary, Olivia Baldy. And Mayor from Val Vista Academy, Jackson Bailey.
And we'll ask our group 2 to come forward and stand right in this vicinity. We'll do a group picture. While they're getting assembled, we had our 3 additional council members join us. This is Vice Mayor Eddie Cook, if you can wave your hand, Council Member Jared Taylor, and Council Member Ben Cooper. Another big round of applause for Group 2. Thank you. Group 3, if you're in junior high or high school, come on down. While they're coming down, I wanted to recognize any of our teachers, school administrators who are also here to cheer on their students. Could you please stand and be recognized? Any of our teachers? That's what I say. Give her some of our finest assets, in addition to our students, are our teachers, administrators, and so we thank you. And we have Dr. Kishimoto and Stacy, if you can come on up here real fast. We have a special guest here. This is her first official week in Gilbert. Looking around, this is Dr. Christina Kishimoto, who will be the new superintendent for Gilbert Public Schools, and the chairman of the board for Gilbert Public Schools, Stacy Burke. If you could give them a big round of applause. And another member of the board, Jill Humphreys. And Jill, thank you for coming. Thank you. Well, wait, we better take a quick picture right here. Jill, we need a picture with Jill. Councilmember Daniels, please.
From Campo Verde High School, Miriam Yaneli Robles. From Desert Hills High School, Jennifer Force. I'll go back right now.
That was too fast.
From Cooley Middle School, Isabella Bowman. From Gilbert Classical Academy, Clark Vidler. From Gilbert Early College, Rebecca McIntyre. From Gilbert High, Bradley Nelson. From Gilbert Junior High, Anthony Harnage. From Greenfield Junior High, Gabrielle Heeb. From Higley High, Kiara Palestor. From Highland High, Austin Wagner. From Mesquite High, Judith Diosdado. From Mesquite Junior High, Megan Kalos. Megan, did I say your last name right? Okay. From Perry High School, Katerina Brandt. From South Valley Junior High, Mackenzie Mattern. From Williamsfield High School, Marshall Thompson. Mayor, we're pushing pause for 1 second. We have some. Gilbert High? Oh, yeah. From Gilbert Classical Academy, Aaron Carey. And that wasn't Aaron's fault, that was ours, so we apologize, Aaron.
Terry, you got one more, right?
Oh, one more? Carey?
We do. Thank you.
Oh. Bobo Johnson from Perry High. And that completes Group 3.
Group 3, come on up here and we'll do a group picture. Another big round of applause for Group 3. I would like to tell Group 3 especially to go home and study, but I think they've already started their spring break thinking, so I don't know what to say. Maybe go home and do the dishes. We do appreciate you coming. Student Citizens of the Month, whatever you've been doing, keep doing it. You are our finest. And so we appreciate you. The family support, the teacher support, administrative support, thank you for coming. That officially ends our Student Citizen of the Month. We'll begin our normal town council meeting and then in just a few minutes. Thank you. We'll invite the scouts to come forward, please. And Councilmember Peterson, I think you already talked to the scouts, so. We will be prepared to start our meeting in about 15 seconds. Thank you. Welcome to our March 6, 2014 Gilbert Town Council meeting. We have just completed our Student Citizen of the Month program. Energy is still felt here in council chambers. And we'll now continue with our meeting with the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. As noted on the agenda, the invocation may be offered by a person of any religion, faith, belief, or non-belief, as well as council members. A list of volunteers is maintained by the town clerk, and interested persons should contact the clerk for further information. Tonight, before we have, and Chief Doran, if you could make your way down, before we have the invocation, which will be offered by Councilmember Jen Daniels, we have had many of our citizens inquire and ask our police chief and the council members we had a shooting last week, and this week we've had the tragedy in the city of Phoenix. And I was talking to Chief Jordan. I asked him if he could just make a comment or two and then lead us as a community in a short moment of silence, and then we'll have the invocation and continue. So Chief Jordan, thank you, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for bestowing this honor on me tonight. As we know, earlier this week, we had a Phoenix police officer, detective, 31 years on the department 21 years on the department, who lost his life. His partner was seriously wounded and thank goodness is recovering back at home now. Here in our own community, our officers were involved in a very significant event last week. That both of those incidents really bring to light the dangers that our public safety workers face every day. When something like this happens in a neighboring community, if you look across the street and you look at all of our fire stations, you'll see our flags are at half staff. We do that to maintain the honor of our fallen comrade until the funeral services, which will be on Monday. No matter what patch you wear on your sleeve, no matter what badge you wear, we're all a family. And we all suffer whether we personally know the officer or not. So I'm honored tonight to ask you to join me in a moment of silence in honor of the detective that was lost in Phoenix. And I ask you to keep the family of the officer that was lost, as well as the family of the officer that was wounded, and family members of all of our public safety workers, police, fire, and EMS in your thoughts and prayers and the jobs that they do to protect all of us every day. So if you'll join me in a moment of silence, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll invite you to please arise, and Councilmember Daniels for the invocation.
Our Father in heaven, we are grateful to come together this evening as a community. We are grateful for the facilities that we have to meet in and for the technology that enables us to communicate the needs of the community and the actions going on at home. We are grateful especially for our town staff and the employees. We're grateful for our community family, for all of the neighbors who reach out to others to uplift and to assist. We ask for a special blessing at this time on all of our men and women in uniform. We ask thee to watch over them, to bring them home from abroad to the safety of their homes and their families, and also the men and women who serve in our police and fire department, that they will also return home to their families. Our Father in heaven, we are so blessed in this community, and we recognize that thy hand is what guides and protects us. We pray for thy Spirit to be with us. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks so much for your help with that. And also what we want to do is give you guys a second to tell us your name, your troop, and your rank. And then what I'm also going to do is give you a copy of the U.S. Constitution, and we encourage you to study that. So go ahead.
I'm Colin McCauley. My rank is Tenderfoot, and I am Troop 821.
My name is Noah Jorgensen. My rank is First Class, and my troop is 821.
My name is Walter Cole. I am a star, and my troop is 982.
Let's give them a round of applause for their help tonight.
Our deputy clerk will now conduct the roll call.
Mayor Lewis.
Here.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Here.
Councilmember Cooper.
Here.
Councilmember Daniels.
Here.
Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Ray.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thank you. Agenda item number 2, Councilmember Taylor will lead us in the Pillar of the Month, Respect.
Mayor, this month's highlighted pillar is respect. As council members and town staff, we agree to listen and communicate openly with the goals of building mutual respect. We pledge to treat everyone with courtesy, politeness, and dignity. We value individual and cultural differences and follow the golden rule.
Thank you. Councilmember Cook will lead the agenda item number 3, the proclamation, Fix a Leak Week.
I'll go by Cook tonight.
Did I say Cooper? Oh, Councilmember Cooper. Did I say Cook? Vice Mayor Cook, thank you. You keep an eye on this, and Councilmember Cooper will take that. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, if you would come, why don't you come up front here? Sure. Is that all right? Unless, and you can even refer to this as we go a little bit so that you don't feel like you have to read it. But Eric Brown here is, well, I'm going to have you introduce yourself. He works with the town of Gilbert. And so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us why you're here and what you are hoping the community will remember this week.
Sure. I am the Water Resources Coordinator for the town. I manage the Water Conservation Program. We're here tonight. This proclamation is all about the EPA's WaterSense Fix a Leak Week. EPA WaterSense is a program much like Energy Star. It's for labeling water-efficient products and fixtures in the home. The town of Gilbert has been a partner with EPA WaterSense since its inception. And one part of their program is Fix a Leak Week. It's a program designed to encourage people to find and fix leaks. And the town of Gilbert, in association with the Arizona Municipal Water Users Association, has produced an event for the last 4 years. It's won many awards. It is a spotlight item for the EPA's WaterSense Fix a Leak Week. And today's proclamation just affirms the town of Gilbert's association with the event, as well as our desire to have a water-efficient community where we can provide a healthy and safe, reliable supply of water to all of our residents.
Eric, thank you very much. And just to note, so for calendar purposes, it appears that March 17th through the 23rd is the Fix a Leak Week here in Gilbert. Now, my neighbor was walking by our house this week and told my wife that one of our sprinkler bubbler thingies is going crazy. Am I allowed to fix it this weekend, or do I need to wait till?
You can go ahead and do it tonight.
All right. Very good. I will do it tonight. In fact, so if we can get out of here even a bit early, that would help me to not waste any more water. So very good, Eric. Thank you very much. We'll present this to you now. And thank you for your efforts, and encourage the community to save water and act wisely in that area.
And Councilmember Cooper, we have Councilmember Daniels with an additional comment.
Just real quick, I have to commend Eric and team. He has tremendous people working with him. And today, at Crossroads Park in Gilbert, 800 fourth graders were taught about water and water conservation. It was a tremendous volunteer effort. So I'm jumping ahead to item 38, just so I'm safe. But what a tremendous effort, and just it was a day of science, part of our STEM efforts, Mayor, happening strong for our fourth graders at Crossroads. So thank you for all of your work on that.
Next on the agenda is the presentation by the Arizona Heroes to Hometown organization. Kathy, please. From the dais, I will introduce Kathy Pierce. She is the founder of this organization. And in Gilbert, we are pleased to have the 4th annual 5K Salute a Soldier race that will take place on Saturday, March 22nd. And Kathy will give the rest of the details in this presentation.
Thank you for this on? No, it's on. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it, and we really appreciate your support, Mayor Lewis. I know he came out last year and took a couple of minutes and welcomed those that were running and participating to Gilbert. A little bit about Arizona Heroes to Hometowns, and one reason we do the fundraisers and we want to be out in the community is we're here to support our severely wounded members and their families. We help severely injured service members and their families connect with their communities or their new communities. A lot of these young men and women are not returning to maybe their hometowns. They're finding new hometowns in Gilbert and Mesa, and the Phoenix area is one of those because of the services that we can offer them. We do welcome homes. We do educational opportunities. We help them with housing. I've done several projects with Home Depot. I'll show you some pictures in just a minute on that, where we've helped adapt their homes or made them more livable and helped them with repairs that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. This statement by George Washington is probably more true today than it was even then. And it says, "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nations." These young men and women, we've seen Congress wanting to cut their pay. We've seen them want them to pay for their medical because they were volunteers, so they should know that that would be something that they should do. And it's very tragic that we are not taking care of them. Some of the things Arizona Heroes to Hometowns does is we have a peer mentoring program. We have volunteer opportunities. We are going on our 6th year of Turkeys to Troops, and that is 6 locations throughout Arizona. And we work with local food banks to provide a food box. We take donations and provide them with a grocery gift card. That way I don't have to handle 2,000 turkeys or keep them frozen. So that's how we do that. I just was able to send 4 veterans to the spring training game on Saturday. I've probably got 3 or 4 more that are going on Monday. We give them opportunities to get back out in the community and find their new normal. Their lives have changed. Not all of them have visible injuries. You can see this one young man definitely is visible, but this was a group that I was able to take to the Super Bowl a few years ago. It's an opportunity they may never have again, but we want them to know that Arizona cares about them and that we're here for them. This is one of the projects that we did with Home Depot. Fixed up the veteran's backyard so he could use it, and was able to get some other projects done that he physically was not capable of getting done. Here's another one, and they knew how much a flag meant to this young man. He had one out on the front, and so they made sure that he had a permanent flag in his yard. May not seem like much, but it means the world to him. This is just a little bit about Turkeys to Troops, and I know I'm kind of hurrying through this because I know that there's a big agenda, and so I don't want to take any more time than what the mayor has offered here. But we are now working on 2014 for our Turkeys to Troops. These are just some pictures. I've had young men and women come in, and I'm sorry, with your opening and the moment of silence, we have a lot of military, but we have a lot of police officers, so these things all hit home for me. Say that this is the only way they would have had a Thanksgiving dinner. And I think what tragedy that they have sacrificed so much and protected us, and then they're not going to have a Thanksgiving dinner. So this is something we're really passionate about as well. Our Salute a Soldier Run, this will be our 4th year, and we're so grateful for the city of Gilbert and the wonderful park you have here. But again, this helps us raise money to help some of these programs. We pay mortgages, we pay utilities, we make sure they have food on the table, especially that transition between the Department of Defense and VA. Sometimes that can be months, and we want to make sure they don't fall among our homeless. These are just some pictures from previous 5K runs. As you can see on the bottom corner here, the little girl running, that's my 8-year-old granddaughter. She came in 7th out of all the women last year. The little boy helping with water, we take volunteers of all ages. That's one of my grandsons, and he was out there offering water after the runners. We do dove hunts, we do other outdoor activities. This was a dove hunt we had in Glendale, and it just gives them an opportunity to realize that there's other uses than what they've been trained for, and they had a great time. A lot of them had not shot a gun since they had been back from the war, so it just let them know that there are other ways to do that. We've also started a line of coffee. If you drink coffee, you can support Arizona Heroes to Hometown. All the proceeds go directly back to Heroes to Hometowns. So we have GI Brews, and we've got information Kirk put out in front on the coffee, the run, and a brochure. So make sure you pick those up. You can make donations, and this all goes to help our troops in one way or another through our programs. And there's the information. And just a little bit about why I'm so passionate. You see the soldier down there with the big gun. That's my son. He was in Iraq in 2004, I'm sorry. I got a call a week before Christmas that they didn't think he was going to make it. He'd been hit with an IED. They took me and my other children, he's the youngest of 5, over to Germany because they weren't even sure if they'd get him to Germany. We're 9 years later, and he's still with us, and we're so grateful, but he lost both legs, the use of an arm, and we can see how it's changed his life, our family's life, and even the community. He came back to people that he'd been away for 7.5 years. He served 4 years before he was deployed, and then 2 years of surgeries and rehabilitation. So a lot of times people had no idea where he'd been. He would get strange looks. Sometimes people would ask, and it's because he was out protecting us. And so that's why we care so much about these young men and women coming back, and we want them to find their new normal. So we'd appreciate your support. Spread the word. Come out, join us on the 22nd. We'd love to have you out there. And I don't know if you have time for questions or if you want to do that.
Here's what we'd like to do, Kathy. By official proclamation from the Gilbert Town Council, we'd like to induct you into the Gilbert Arizona Heroes Hometown section, and thank you for your efforts. Encourage the community to join the Salute a Soldier 5K 1 mile walk on March 22nd at Freestone Park. And there are flyers in the back, and if others in the room had questions, they could just find you in the back of the room and we can keep that conversation going. But thank you so much.
And my information is on those flyers, so you can always email me or call me. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is our communication from citizens. Vice Mayor Cook, how many requests do we have tonight?
Mayor, we have one individual that would like to speak, and we'd like to welcome Joe Jusek to the podium. Thank you, Joe.
And Joe, as you know the routine, if you can state your name, and if you're a Gilbert resident, then you will be given 3 minutes, please.
Joe Jusek, Gilbert resident, Mayor Lewis, Town Council, and town employees. I truly appreciate all of you supporting the mayor's character race and relay. I know the mayor did not win last year, but I hear he's in extensive training, and he wants many, many people to come out and give him some competition. So please remember, on April 5th, that race will be happening. That race actually raises money for why I'm here tonight. On behalf of the Gilbert CAN Community Action Network, simply put, this is another great way for all schools and community organizations of Gilbert to recognize our rising stars in our community. So on behalf of the Gilbert Community Action Network and Mayor Lewis, we invite you to identify and nominate young people in our community whose lives and achievements demonstrate an enduring commitment to the core ethical values known as the 6 pillars of character: trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. We are seeking nominations of children in grades kindergarten through 6th grade who have displayed the following admirable qualities: perseverance and inner strength to overcome physical, financial, and other disabilities, uncompromising integrity and courage to do the right thing despite social pressures or personal risk, generosity of spirit and self-sacrifice in helping others, community service and working for common good. We encourage all teachers, community organizations, youth leaders to participate in the nomination process. Please note that you cannot nominate your own child. Nominations in grades K through 6 will be recognized at an event on April 24th, which the mayor's race will help fund. All nominations are due by Monday, March 31st, at the end of this month. Please visit www.gilbertcan.org gilbertcan.org. That's one word, GilbertCan. Click on the character counts and fill out the online nomination form for your rising star that makes a difference in our community today. Thank you, and I appreciate you spreading the word.
Thank you, Joe. Vice Mayor Cook, with that being the only communication from citizens, we'll move to the consent calendar. What requests do we have?
Mayor, we have no requests to review any of the agenda items.
Okay. There were some interviews tonight, and so Councilmember Daniels.
We will. Let me move that the council approves agenda item 5, 7 through 22, and we'd like to move agenda item number 33 forward. And Councilmember Daniels?
Mayor Lewis, included in this motion, we would like to appoint 2 regular members to the Planning Commission to fill the remainder of terms ending June 1st, 2015. Those 2 members would be Carl Bloomfield and David Blazer.
Thank you. With that motion, is there a second?
Second.
That motion second, please vote. Those items are approved. Thank you. We move to the public hearing portion of this meeting. Vice Mayor Cook, which items do we have requests to speak on?
Mayor, we have 2 individuals on 2 separate items, agenda item number 28 and agenda item number 32.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and read what's on the agenda. That under the public hearing, items 23 through 32 will be heard at one public hearing, at which time anyone wishing to comment on a public hearing item may do so. Comments will be heard from those in support of or in opposition to an item. And as noted, we have 2 items that I will pull into a separate public hearing, but outside of 28 and 32, would there be a desire from council to have any presentations or discussion on the other items? Therefore, I open the public hearing on items 23 through 32 with the exception of 28 and 32. I close the public hearing on those same items, 23 through 32 with the exception of 28 and 32, and will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve agenda items 23 through 27 and 29 through 31.
Is there a second?
Second.
With that motion second, please vote. Thank you, that's approved. I now open the public hearing on agenda item 28. Council members, do any of you feel like you need a presentation on 28, or should we move right to the request to speak? Okay, Vice Mayor Cook, please.
Mayor, we'd like to invite Stephen Earle to the podium.
There we go. Mayor Lewis, members of the council, for your record, my name is Stephen Earle. I am a resident of Gilbert. I'm here tonight on behalf of KB Home, and with me is Andrew Gasparo, who is the Director of Future Planning. It's always, I'm always reluctant to remove an item from an agenda that otherwise appears to be consent approval. However, we have one, what we consider to be small but rather important item relating to this case. Just a little bit of background on the case before I get to my item, in which we have a slight disagreement with staff and the Planning Commission. This particular parcel is 17.5 acres that is at the southeast corner of Recker and Warner Roads. That was part of the original Copper Ranch project. And there were, that project was approved in 2004. So for the last 14 years, this small parcel that surrounds the corner was vacant. It was zoned for multifamily medium to have triplex units on them. We propose a different product, which the staff and Planning Commission was kind enough to recommend approval for. Our product is a single-family detached product, so we are changing the zoning from multifamily medium down to single-family detached. or SFD. In reviewing this project through the Planning Commission and through staff, many refinements have been made over a number of months, and we sincerely appreciate all the efforts both of the Planning Commission, who held 2 hearings, and the staff who met with us on numerous occasions. We believe we have addressed all of those issues but one, and that has to do with the amount of lot coverage on 18 of the 107 lots. In other words, all but 18 meet the town standards for lot coverage of 50% or less. These 18 that we're showing circles around are unusual because of their location adjacent to a retention area, and because the site is so narrow, and of course all the streets are in and all the utilities are in. This was meant to be developed a long time ago, so we are fitting within prescribed parameters. And in doing our project, we have a retention area between these units you can see in green. The red dots indicate those lots that have a slight increase in lot coverage. Staff was willing to recommend 55%, I think calling upon the Gateway area as a neo-traditional area, and we are simply asking for 57%, or 2% higher than what staff would recommend. The reason for that, it has to do with a very unique aspect of these homes, which again are single-family detached homes with their own yards. But the yards are not rear yards, the yards are side yards, and I'll show you a photograph in a minute of how they operate. But there is an intense desire for these units, which have proven to be very successful both in Phoenix and in California, of integrating the inside and the outside of the home. Candidly, my home has this feature that I just moved into, which is a wall of glass doors that accordion into the sides so that the inside and the outside work together. So the outside patio is almost as important as the inside living room. You'll see here that the area in question that would have to be removed in order to drop the lot coverage 2% from 57 down to 55 is about 66 square feet. But that corner is fully integrated with the size of the home. So you have the outline of the home here, and that's the area would have to be removed. Another way of looking at it is you could lop off the horizontally, again, 66 feet, but again, this outdoor patio is intended to fully integrate with the backyard. So let me show you how it works. This is an example of a photograph of a rear yard, actually side yard. You can see the interior home and the exterior patio. The rear yards are actually professionally designed and manicured at the beginning. In other words, with the lot owner's purchase of these lots, not only is the front yard designed and put in by the developer and maintained by the HOA, but the backyard is also put in. So you move in ready without that 8 months of having dirt in your yard like I've experienced for the last, and still have dirt in my backyard. It's a nice feature to be able to move in and have this beautiful indoor-outdoor feature where you have barbecues. Here's another photograph of the same concept where you have a barbecue, sometimes a spa, sometimes a water feature, and seating where people don't want to have a big rear yard, but they want to have what they do have as a beautiful indoor-outdoor experience. So going back to, and this is yet another example, and these are not examples of homes that won't be built here. These are examples of homes that have been built by KB and will be developed here. Going back to this, we're only talking about 18 lots that would need this extra 5% above code, and we're asking for 2% more to get to 57. Staff was willing to take it to 55, and so was the Planning Commission. Didn't feel they could go above 55 because of maybe precedent issues, but this is a very unusual product, not likely to be built in a lot of locations. It is neo-traditional. It is in the Gateway area where we're trying to build kind of innovative product. And so we were hoping that the council would be willing in this very unusual circumstance to have a small percentage of the lots that are constrained by the leftover vacant parcel here and by the drainage area that runs between the two. It wasn't as if wherever we could gain an extra foot on the other parcels, we did. So that this problem doesn't exist elsewhere. It only exists here where the units had to come together. And of course, as I indicated before, it is possible to build these units, as staff has indicated, at 55%. The effect would be to remove one end of the covered patio area or to remove a portion along the entire patio. We just felt that the integrity of the home and the design was an important thing to bring to your attention, and hopefully you would be willing to give us that extra 2%. Otherwise, we agree with all the stipulations, and we appreciate everything staff did to work with us to create this product. I can go into more discussion if you'd like.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson.
Mayor, I've had, I don't want to say extensive, but I have had some conversations with staff about the idea of a % lot coverage. I understand a setback. That makes sense. You're going to keep properties a distance apart, so if yours burns down, it doesn't bring them down. There's a real interest there. On its own, I don't really know what the significant governmental public purpose is in a lot coverage percentage. I'm uncomfortable with the thought that we're just giving extra percentages to some people and not all, and so I have asked staff. I don't know if they're working on it. I thought something we're looking at for the future, but I would support this. I just hope we can also be looking for this kind of opportunity for everybody and not just this one use. So, but again, there are other standards we should maintain. I think this is just sort of I don't know what this does on its own, what purpose the % coverage serves, so I think it's fine.
Councilmember Ray.
I would be interested to hear from staff as to their
Sure.
reasons why they don't want the 2%.
Thank you. Maria, please.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. We started, as the applicant stated, working for a long period of time, and they came with a number of deviations. And we agree, our preference was that they comply with what the code calls for, because like a year ago or less, the town council approved an ordinance to increase the coverage for single-family residential that applies to the SF6s and above, because the smaller or higher densities already had a higher coverage, bigger and more dense coverage. So we worked with the applicant. They tweaked the project. They were able to reduce the number of deviations, and staff, based on a precedent with another case in the same character area that is on smaller lots, we took that and recommended to the Planning Commission the 55%. And that's the reason why we arrived to that number. But we started with the compliance with code. So that's, I don't know if I answered the question, but I guess that's what you were looking for, where we were coming from. It was a case already there to guide us in the same area of the town.
Thank you. Council members, questions? Does that, oh, please. Go, please, Councilmember Daniels.
I was just going to explain maybe a reasoning why we may want to maintain our standards where they are and where they have been publicly vetted, but have these types of conversations that would allow us to deviate from those standards when it is deemed appropriate. And I think this is one of those situations. And I really appreciate the work that staff has done. I know you guys have worked a tremendous amount to make sure this is a quality project in the town. And of course, the developer and our planning commission heard extensive and participated in extensive discussion about that. All of that absolutely important and valuable, and a fantastic example of a public process. I'm willing, Mayor, to see this in a little bit different way than and to exceed our standards. And the reason for that is, if anyone has driven through this specific piece of property, they'll notice that this is not only an odd-shaped piece of property, but there's a high school, junior high being built on the immediate corner, and you have development that has been there for several years and existing utilities and streets there. My biggest concern about this project was parking, and it has been addressed, and I appreciate that very much. So I'd like to take these on a case-by-case basis because certain extenuating circumstances I believe would warrant us to deviate from standards, but certainly not in all cases am I willing to we have standards in place for a very specific reason, and I'd like to see us maintain those when and if possible.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Cook.
Well, I appreciate that, but it seems like the same presentation from Mr. Earl was done at the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is that correct?
Yes, and more than.
And more. And again, obviously, those individuals are probably more in tune to a lot of these particular standards. So I guess I'm finding it a little hard to go against their recommendation because obviously they've studied this. I understand there's also our part in allowing potentially some flexibility. So Maria, can you elaborate some of the discussion a little bit more as maybe to why the 2% is just not going to cut it here?
Well, Mayor and Vice Mayor Cook, it's not that it's not going to cut it here. We wanted to treat everybody the same way, giving everybody the same opportunities in observing the code and any other policies and guidelines that we have in place, and we did that with this case. We came a long way because the list of deviations originally was larger, and it was reduced. They addressed traffic issues and engineering, and they accepted what you see on the presentation. The Planning Commission also felt regarding the coverage that they agree with the precedent set in the same area, in the same region, in the same character area, and they felt that it was fair that if that was entitled a few years ago with comparable lot sizes, and after the approval of the ordinance to exceed coverage for open air structures, that this applicant could fit within the additional 5% that they were already granted based on a solid decision made before.
A follow-up question. Does this set maybe a potential precedent if we decide to allow the 2% where maybe you might see more of these requests challenging our...
We may see that, but like the Council Member Daniels stated, the Council is going to look at this on a case-by-case basis, and not all of them will warrant this session or additional coverage concession.
Councilmember Cooper.
Yeah, as I'm looking at this, I don't think the deviation here to 57% really sets a precedent that is going to be repeated all over town, because this site has some unique constraints to it, and it's a unique kind of innovative product. And to make on 18 of 107 lots, basically they're having to design the same house twice in some cases here. I mean, they're basically, it seems like a small thing to say, well, just shorten your patio or whatever, but that sometimes the patios are integrated in ways that have structural impacts, and I don't know if that's the case in this case, but you are designing the same house twice. Additional cost for something that I don't think is setting a precedent throughout the rest of the town, and so I'd be supportive of making this change.
Councilmember Peterson.
Mayor, we might be in favor, some of us, of moving forward for different reasons, but I still haven't heard a specific reason why 55 is okay, but 57 is not. And other than it's just deviating farther from the rule. And I've dug into the rule, and I don't have a specific reason for it either. And so that's my concern, but it's fine. If we want to agree on that, I appreciate that, and I do think that there will be no impact to the public or anybody else by that small change. So.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Taylor?
Mayor, also supportive, and appreciate Councilmember Daniels' comments on that. I think if there's any precedent set, it's that we can have a reasonable dialogue and be reasonably flexible, but we're not setting a precedent that everything is going to be 57%. I think that's a good, fair message to those in our town that want to add a lot of value, a creative project that's going to have life, probably add home values in the area. So I would be supportive, Mayor.
Thank you. I close the public hearing on agenda item 28, and because there's a deviation, we'll need someone to, that might be Councilmember Daniels, to please state a motion.
Mike Hamlin, I'm going to be looking at you during this entire motion. I move that we consider approval of the findings and adoption of an ordinance amending ordinance number 1597 and 1956 and rezoning approximately 17.5 acres of real property within the Copper Ranch Planned Area Development, PAD. Recognizing that this council approves a 50% lot coverage on 18 lots as requested by the developer. 57%. What did I say? 56?
You said 50.
57%,
57.
which
Okay.
is the intent of it.
That's satisfactory.
Second.
With that motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion and second, please vote. That's approved with a 7 vote. Thank you. I open the public hearing on agenda item 32. As discussed in our study session, there was a request to have a staff presentation, and there's also a request for a citizen to speak. So we'll have the staff presentation, please.
Mayor, members of the council, good evening. My name is Dan Henderson, and I am the Economic Development Director for the town of Gilbert. The item that I'm presenting this evening is acquisition of 11 plus acres for the purposes of redevelopment acquisition located in the southwest corner of Gilbert Road and Juniper Avenue. The recommended motion that we bring before you this evening is to approve a resolution authorizing the acquisition of the 11 acres and to approve the use of general fund contingency in the amount of $3.6 million. Mayor, members of the council, to give you a brief background on the property. Essentially some information about the site. As I said, about 11 acres of land, approximately 483,000 square feet, located in the southwest corner of Gilbert Road and Juniper, parcel number 302-14-003R. As an orientation, Mayor, members of the council, this property is just north of Powerline Trail, and for those in the audience, this is just north of Vaughn Avenue, and generally points of interest there, it would be north of Oregano's, north of the David Sellers Heritage Marketplace, and again just north of the Powerline Trail. That's the 11 acres. From a property acquisition perspective, the Heritage District really is that symbolic center of town. It has a rich heritage. It has a geographic board that oversees sort of its governance as appointed by members of the council. This property is currently vacant land. It is greenfield development. To be clear, the staff summary does say that this acquisition is for the purposes of redevelopment. As a point of clarity, this is a property acquisition in the redevelopment area. So while this property has never had any development on it, felt that point of clarity that it's for property acquisition in the redevelopment area, not necessarily redevelopment of the property. Again, the price is about $3.6 million, roughly $7.50 a square foot. There were 2 appraisals done, one by the seller, one by the buyer. The seller had done an appraisal for roughly $8 a square foot. The town had done an appraisal for roughly $7 a square foot. $7.50 represents a negotiated rate, which more or less finds its way in the middle between both of those appraisals. What we have before you is a general site. This is the area right here that I'm pointing to. Again, just north of the Power Line Trail. 11-acre site, and we have the applicant, or in this case, the seller, in the audience if there are any questions. At this time, I've given you a brief background, brief recommended motion, and essentially the financial impact of the property acquisition. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to field them.
Thank you. Any questions at this point for Dan? Councilmember Ray?
Dan, thank you for the information thus far. Why, I don't think I heard why Gilbert should buy this. What's the benefit to the residents?
Sure, Mayor, members of the council. The town was approached by the seller to acquire the property. It's been a property that has been in town vacant for well over 20 years under current ownership. That current ownership expressed an interest to sell the property as a way to dissolve a current partnership. Some of the reasons that staff likes this property: it serves as a gateway piece of property coming into the Heritage District. It's the last large lot, contiguous, parcel in the downtown. It is 11 acres. And staff feels that the property acquisition is strategic to the redevelopment efforts, and it is strategic to enhancing economic development, providing additional capacity for additional product in the downtown. It would also help with sort of circulation on infrastructure. It could serve as a way to relieve some of the parking congestion that staff feels over time will likely be something that we will need to address. And again, the gateway nature of this piece of property make it very strategic to the town.
Councilmember Ray?
Dan, what does the town, you spoke about additional product on the property. What does the town have something in mind as to what goes there, or is it too early to give a recommendation for that?
Mayor, members of the council, I think at this time it's a bit early to determine what end use will ultimately fall on the property and be developed. Heritage Village Center is the land use designation and the land use zoning on the property, and it creates a number of opportunities under sort of the by right zoning, pedestrian oriented, zero lot lines, creates a through the 11 acres, just a product offering and mix of product offering through mixed-use development that town feels would be strategic in the long term.
But there's nothing right now that the town plans to put on it immediately or to try to advertise it for some specific use. Is that a fair statement?
Mayors, members of the council, that is correct. The town does not have an end user in mind for this property.
Councilmember Peterson?
This is sort of a follow-up to that. When I hear the question of use posed, I'm hearing Heritage Village Center. And my question is then, it's already zoned that way, so we're already guaranteed it's going to develop within that boundary. So why do we need to buy it in order to see that happen? It's going to happen anyway. Does that make sense, my question?
Sure. Mayor, members of the council, you're right. The use is Heritage Village Center. That does dictate the uses that would come onto the property. We feel that on this property, as we begin to look at where St. Xavier is currently proposing to develop, just west of the parking structure. It creates some nice adjacencies to that property as well as the other properties in the area. But Councilmember Peterson, you are correct. The land use zoning is in place, and we're certainly not at risk of losing that land use zoning.
Are there any land use opportunities within that zoning district that we would not like to see it go to? I mean, I'm not hearing one in particular we want to see it go to. Are there some we're trying to avoid? I'm still trying to get at what it is we're trying to accomplish with purchasing that.
Sure. Mayor, members of the council, under the Heritage Village Center land use zoning, what is able to go on to that site by right, we're pleased with. We like the diversity. We like the overall uses that are approved. We are not worried about any one thing coming into the town under that land use. I think if there was a worry about a particular use under that land use, we would, as staff, make recommendations to council to perhaps change that land use zoning to do away with that particular use. That's certainly not the case in this instance.
Okay, let's keep going. Vice Mayor Cook.
Dan, when I think about the downtown in the Scottsdale area, the outer loop, pretty much the Drinkwater loop and so forth, can you elaborate maybe how that model might be reflected here in the downtown area for Gilbert, that maybe creating kind of another flow of traffic surrounding the Heritage District could be a huge benefit for us?
Sure. Mayor, members of the council, on the most western edge of this site, in that area there, there is an opportunity to come up on Ash Street and extend Ash Street to go north all the way up to Juniper. We feel that that would create a very unique circulation into the downtown, certainly advance that circulation into an area that already has, planned densities. This area is sort of troubled by sort of one way in, one way out, so to speak. We feel that with the acquisition of this property, that would certainly increase some of the traffic flow, perhaps provide other alternatives to the north and to the south from a relief of traffic congestion. We think that as you come over the Power Line Trail and down into the St. Xavier area and into the parking structure and down into sort of the heart of the downtown, that this site creates some strategic advantages for traffic flow, relief of congestion. It also helps in the long term expand some of the infrastructure that's planned for the area. We feel that bringing a site like this into the inventory of Gilbert would allow us some additional benefits for overall planning from an infrastructure perspective.
Councilmember Daniels.
Thank you, Mayor. I love our downtown. I love where it was, but I really love where it's going. And I feel like this piece is only going to add to that vibrancy. If anyone's been to downtown Gilbert on a Saturday morning when we have our farmers market going and the restaurants are full, people are walking, they are enjoying our pocket parks, and they're enjoying just the ambiance of our downtown, and it's unique. I am hearing from people all over the valley that have a desire and are telling me that they come to downtown Gilbert on a regular basis to eat or to see a show at Hale. I mean, we are just going to continue to be able to build upon that. Part of the reason we've been able to attain that type of vibrancy is because of the people that sat here before us and had the foresight to start assembling small pieces of land and had a broader vision about what that downtown could be. And we're now seeing the fruits of that labor 20, 30, 40 years ago that was started. And so I wanted to see us continue and build upon that legacy. I think this is a unique opportunity, one that will not come to us again. And from an infrastructure perspective, I won't call it a bypass road because I know that gets Councilmember Cooper's blood boiling. But this provides an alternative route for vehicles to travel, or a bypass road. And that, as we continue to see the traffic increase, the vibrancy increase in a downtown area, we will need that more than we do even today. And I would say today we could justify the need for an additional route. So I do support this purchase. Again, I just think this contributes to the overall vision and our ability to accomplish those things in downtown that were planned many, many years ago.
Vice Mayor Cook, I think this is a good time to have our citizens speak, and then we'll come back and have some more dialogue. And I think this is, I saw the name, this is a member of our redevelopment commission, so this is a good person to have come forward, please.
I think so. We'd like to welcome and invite Mr. Jim Torgerson to the podium.
And Jim, if you can state your name, if you're a Gilbert resident, you'll have 3 minutes, please.
Jim Torgerson, and I am a Gilbert resident. I should disclose that I actually do some business with the families that own the property, but whatever members there are here of those families probably don't know that, so there's no direct exchange there. But in the interest of being transparent, I do deal with some of their dealerships. As chairman of redevelopment, we have not had this on our agenda, but at our retreat, it was definitely something that came up, because it is, along with the intersection of Gilbert and Gilbert and Elliott, the most important thing that you'll see. If we're going to have a redevelopment district, and we have invested as much as we have in some of the single-family homes and the very small lots, to take something that is as important as this 11 acres is, as the actual entrance into this district. God forbid it just remains only the Burger King on the corner. It would be a shame not to put that into play. When you have a partnership that has not found a use for it over the 20 some odd years that they've owned it, most certainly with thought and economic development, the way it's been working with us for the last few years, as you can see what's happened, maybe it doesn't end up just an 11-acre lot. It could end up a multi-use here. It could end up retail or office on the corner. It might be split later, depending on what the RFP is. But most certainly I can say, without any formal meeting between the members of our committee, there is no question that as much as we're not into bad property deals, as we've seen in the past before you got here, this is something that is not only the right number and within the margin of error for even the lowest of the two appraisals, but it makes a lot of sense. We've invested into this neighborhood. This area has been a focus for 20 some odd years and a declared redevelopment district, and in the end it comes back to the citizens of Gilbert. When this property is developed and the money's paid back, higher or lower, granted we can't sit there and guarantee any number, but it is in the end going to benefit all those people and of course the town of Gilbert, the largest property owner in the Heritage District, by being able to help along and guide that piece of property far more than the 20 some odd years it's remained in the private sector.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's continue. Councilmember Cooper.
I'm glad that Chairman Torgerson was here tonight to summarize some of the conversations that have occurred in the redevelopment commission, especially in the retreat. You know, as I look at this, I've been pleased to have the opportunity to serve as a liaison to that area, and I really do feel like the success of the Heritage District is key to Gilbert remaining clean, safe, and vibrant in the future. I mean, that as our core goes, so does the rest of our community. And so this acquisition, I think, is within the strategic interest of the town, as it helps us to extend the economic development success that we're seeing there. As we do so, I think it'll allow us the opportunity to involve the community in discussions about the uses that are appropriate there. The Redevelopment Commission is already in the midst of a visioning and planning kind of mode at this point, and that the timing is perfect for this to be interfaced into that conversation. The ASU process that we went through last year with the Masters of Real Estate Development team. They came up with a lot of very interesting uses for town-owned property in the area. And I know that this specific property wasn't studied in detail because it wasn't owned by the town, but there was interest by many of those teams. They were at, hey, is this part of the town? Can we include this? There was interest in that as well. And as it relates to transportation, in our transportation master plan meeting that we had just last week, we were talking about circulation of vehicles, bicycles, and pedestrians. And the Heritage District is one of these areas we're going to have to study in even more detail than that master plan. And we do need alternate routes. I won't say bypass for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want anyone bypassing our downtown. I want them to stop and enjoy. But we do need other routes so that we can once in a while close down one or the other and still have free flow of vehicles. And that also relates to the circulation of bicycles and pedestrians, getting them off of Gilbert Road, which is a dangerous and narrow road and won't be able to be widened without damaging the economic development that's already there. Getting those those people, some of them at least, and bicycles off of that thoroughfare would be helpful as well. And we can control that a little bit more if we own that property. Those are a few of the reasons why I think it's a strategic investment for us.
Councilmember Taylor, what are your feelings?
Mayor, thank you. Speaking of bypass, that street light, I don't know if you've seen it, but you need to look at it. The concerns I have on this is just relative to, there's really not a specific purpose. We should act with a good purpose, good intent. Gilbert's already, or the town specifically, is already the #1 landowner in the downtown, and there's a lot of dirt there that's just sitting there that's tied up in a lot of the red tape that'll come with this acquisition. And the corners on Elliott are some specific cases. I know there's some deed restrictions on that, but there's been other people that have tried to do things, and when the town owns it, there's just so much more red tape to go through to have quality products and businesses go in there because it doesn't fit into somebody's vision. I think there's a lot of merit to what Councilmember Cooper said in terms of being deliberate and proactive, and so I don't want to diminish that. I just, acting in the best faith of the taxpayer. If we have this money, is this the best use for it versus other things that we have needs for in the town? I'm not sure if it is. And then just the last thing is, certainly when I ran, this was a comment that was addressed in a public forum, and I'm going to be consistent with what I said then, which is I think we need to keep as much of this in the marketplace because I think there's just more opportunity for creativity and benefit for the citizens. So that's why I'm going to be voting against this tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Cook.
Mayor, I was thinking about an event that I had on Monday where there was a San Francisco Giant spring training facility up in Scottsdale. And for some reason, I was envisioning maybe.
Well, didn't Brett, at our last communication from citizens, okay, keep going.
Anyways, as it relates to vision, I know that was kind of funny, but as it relates to vision, I think truly that as we look at the downtown and the ability to control some of that vision as it relates to what the redevelopment commission is doing and what we're doing and the growth that we're having with our economic development downtown, to me, I think having this piece of property is key to that vision. We can go out to RFP later to whatever plans that we have to incorporate innovative ideas and innovative business owners to help with that planning, but I think having that control of that piece of property for the better of our community is critical, and I'm very much in favor of that.
Councilmember Ray.
I don't have any comments, Mayor. Everything's been said. I think it will help the downtown area, and I think it's a benefit to the community.
Councilmember Peterson.
I have a couple questions, and I'll do my comments. looking to Councilor Hamblin there. In the resolution, the first whereas, it says, whereas the continued growth and development of the town of Gilbert requires the acquisition of certain real property described in Exhibit A, attached hereto and made a part thereof. Now, if we remove that line, does that change the resolution at all? I mean, I just don't, I think it's patently untrue. I mean, the continued growth and development of the town of Gilbert is going to go forward if we do not acquire this property. In fact, somebody will develop it, and so it'll happen, the private sector, or we'll do it. But I just don't think it's a true statement. So does that matter to the resolution? Help me understand that.
If Mayor, Councilman Peterson, other members of the council, if a majority of the council wishes that line stricken, it can be done, and it won't affect the strength of the resolution.
Okay, I want to go to the next one then, so I can understand it. The Common Council finds that the acquisition of the property described is necessary for public redevelopment purposes. The fact that it's not being redeveloped, this still falls within the legal definition. I'm going to guess it does. Obviously, we're putting it there. When I think of redevelopment, I think of a site that's some kind of blight that needs to be taken down and redeveloped. So I don't know. I think I disagree with that too, but maybe legally it fits because it's in a redevelopment area. I guess anyone could say it's in the public interest to acquire such property, but I don't see any support for that in any specifics here. What happens if both of these whereases go away? Do we need these? Are they important to the resolution?
Mayor, members of the council, in a resolution like this, there ought to be some explanation as to why the action's being taken. And it can be amended, but an explanation should be given.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand that. I think the first line I totally disagree with. The second line, depending on how you read it, maybe it's okay, but I'm not going to vote for it anyway. I just want to understand that, and I don't know if others on the council are concerned that that first line is, I don't know how you can argue that and really with a straight face, but my comments on this are, first of all, I've heard a lot about circulation. That is a governmental purpose, absolutely, but there's other ways to deal with circulation. We don't have to buy the whole site. So anyway, I'll just point that out. And that's one I would say, yeah, that does fit within the realm, but there's no specific use in mind. There's no specific governmental purpose. Well, I guess redevelopment. To me, there isn't in mind. There's no fire training facility, road, park, wastewater treatment plant in mind. I think this boils down to, I don't know, after listening to Dan Henderson's comments, I'm more confused than ever. Is if we're not afraid of any use that could come out of that from the private sector, I don't know why we don't just leave it there and let it be innovative and let it be according to what the market demands. Putting that aside, I do think there's a lack of trust in the private market to make best use of this site, and I think that's really the concern. I think that's ironic because history has shown that free markets work much better than centrally controlled and planned economies. I don't want to take more resources out of the private sector into government. If we have money to spend on land, I think we should, well, maybe spend it on some other governmental purpose we need money for, or let's cut taxes so we can actually put resources back into the market. And I think that would be a better recipe for economic success. With that, Mayor, I'm opposed.
Thank you. Town Manager Banger, when this opportunity first came forward, you were a very good resource for me, and we talked about it, and you had some thoughts that influenced me. You may not remember all those thoughts right now, but if you had comments you wanted to share, I think that would be useful for the public to hear too.
Sure. Mayor, members of the council, a lot of the conversation we had, Mayor, has been covered by various people in various parts tonight. But to recap some of those high points, one is the road access, to get that going through now. We're very concerned about the intensity of traffic and getting people into and out of the Heritage District with all the success we're enjoying down there. Having the ability to control the parcel allows us to do that in a manner that is most beneficial to the overall needs of the district, that may be somewhat in conflict with a personal property property owner and the way they would envision developing that property in the way that best suits them. That being said, we also have our first university, as we're all well aware, St. Xavier's, under design right now. We'd like to see them continue to grow and flourish in our community to provide for the needs of our businesses as well as our residents. This gives a great corridor for them to grow into, especially along the back side of that parcel that may be somewhat more challenging as the types of uses that could be placed in there, as well as in having control of protecting the integrity of the district itself and the unique character that's been developed, and having more of a say in that development that we've invested so heavily in through the years and are now enjoying that success. Not to say the private sector would not develop something on that parcel at some point into the future, but we've got a lot more control within, by having it within the town's control, possession, to get as much value and see that vision fulfilled in the district to the greatest extent possible. As well as there's two property owners that own that. They've owned it for a considerable amount of time. They've done nothing with it to this point. And the Heritage District is in a large growth mode right now, and those property owners may not decide to develop that property for quite some time, which could change some of the development opportunities that currently exist, while our Heritage District is a very hot market and destination for many different categories of things that are coming along. So for all those reasons, staff, as we looked at that and we looked at what the town's done historically up to this point to reinvest in our downtown and in our heritage and to see that area redevelop and flourish, we think it makes sense for the town to bring this parcel, to continue the tradition of acquiring land and bring this parcel under our control so we can continue with that vision.
Thank you. I also appreciate our redevelopment commission that influenced me as I sought their counsel on this. And I do agree with Councilmember Peterson, and so to Town Attorney Hamblin, this, you may have a better suggestion, but just in reading or hearing his comments in that first paragraph in the whereas, if we did something as simple as where it gets that word requires and said something like the development of the town of Gilbert provides for the acquisition.
Mayor, members of the council, that'd be fine.
And then on the next paragraph where it says the property described as necessary, maybe you could say finds the acquisition of the property as an opportunity for public right-of-way.
Mayor, members of the council, that'd be fine.
And to the council, I realize that's not our best practices to be doing wordsmithing from the dais, but if there's a better phrase, we can take it. Otherwise, that may work. Okay. Listening to this, and we do have the applicant here, but I think we have the information we need, and so I close the public hearing on agenda item 32, and we'll entertain a motion. Councilmember Cooper.
Mayor, I move that we approve a resolution authorizing the acquisition of 11 acres for redevelopment purposes located at the southwest corner of Gilbert Road and Juniper Avenue, and authorize the mayor to execute the required documents with the changes that you indicated a moment ago, being part of the motion, as well as approving the use of general fund contingency in the amount of 3.3629640, authorizing said acquisition.
Thank you. With that motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, with that motion, second, please vote. That is approved with a 5-2 vote. Thank you. We have completed the public hearing items. We have completed under the administrative items 33, and so we go to agenda item 34, board, commission, and committee reports. Councilmember Peterson.
A couple items, Mayor. We had a wonderful breakfast this last Tuesday with some good community leaders who came out to talk about how to support the seniors and the senior center. And they actually hosted us this year. It was a great event. We appreciate having you there, Mayor, and some others showed up too. Councilmember Cook was there. Thank you for your attendance. And we know everyone else is very busy, but just want to recognize that. And also, La Ristra, I need to give them a shout out. La Ristra sponsored our breakfast, and it was delicious. So got to recognize that. One other thing I want to give a plug for, something we're continuing to try and build, that is the GilbertGives.com website. Great place to go sign up. I work with For Our City. We've worked in collaboration with that committee. And you can sign up, put your email in. It'll give you a weekly email letting you know what the current needs are in the town of Gilbert, what the donation, volunteering, other opportunities to give are in the community. And so we just want to plug that again, gilbertgives.com. And one last thing, we have the We Are Gilbert Day, annual We Are Gilbert Day, coming up April 12th. We have that in concert with the Gilbert Global Village Festival. We like to make that one of our volunteer projects that we send volunteers to help set up and tear down. But there will be a number of projects that are available on that day for volunteers. I think we've got about 700 people that can volunteer. They actually get eaten up real quick, so I would jump on there, sign up. It's on gilbertcan.org. That's in partnership with Gilbert Can. We appreciate their help on that. But you go to the volunteer link on gilbertcan.org, and you can sign up for those projects for yourself or for a group of volunteers. So I think that's it. That's the most I've ever talked on this section.
Thank you. And it was a great breakfast, and we do appreciate all those involved and the Forest City team. Thank you. Other comments? Councilmember Taylor.
Mayor, we had a good Human Relations Commission last night, and we just wanted to highlight, we'll start to see some more information on the Global Village Festival. Councilmember Peterson just talked about, there's a few of these flyers that are at the back table. Maybe they've already been picked up by now, but just a couple of bullets here. April 12th for the calendar from noon to 6 p.m. right here at the Civic Center. And as usual, there's lots of wonderful things planned and more information to come, but April 12th, noon to 6 here at the Civic Center, the next Gilbert Global Village Festival.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Okay. Item 36, future meetings. I think we covered in our study session. 37, report from town manager.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. A couple quick items. I wanted to recognize and thank our public safety officers. We had an incident in our community last week that turned out much differently than the one in Phoenix, but we're very thankful that no one in Gilbert was hurt in that incident, and we appreciate Tim Dorn and his leadership team and our officers for their dedication and commitment to our community, and that they put themselves in harm's way to protect us. Also want to recognize our fire department volunteers. We had a banquet for last Saturday night. We have hundreds of volunteers who give their time to help provide necessary services in our community, to help train CPR, prevent pool drownings, and without them, we couldn't be nearly as effective as we are, so we're very grateful for them. If anybody would like to find out how they can become a volunteer for us, they can get on the town website. We have a multitude of opportunities in various agencies within our organization, but we're very grateful to have their assistance with everything. And then I also wanted to thank all of the town staff, and there were many different areas that helped with the event last Saturday night. It's unfortunate that rain crept in towards the end of it, but that was a wonderful thing for our community. We were very happy to be a part of it, and very proud of the staff who worked very tirelessly to help make that a success. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 38, report from council members on current events. Agenda item 39, Kurt, if you could move forward, and I'll make a couple comments when you come forward. So we did announce in our Student Citizen of the Month program that this Saturday is Aviation Day at the Gateway Airport from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. All activities are free, and would give families a chance to see some exceptional airplanes and some old, new, and have a good time at the Gateway Airport. And the Kapow Heroes Run is also out on the town website that you can see. And then what is about to be displayed, what better way to end a March 6, 2014 Town Council meeting, as March Madness will be upon us, than to show representing Gilbert last week at the Wells Fargo Arena, where the Arizona State Sun Devils play basketball. At halftime, Kurt Sharp came out of the stands without a warm-up, and what happened?
Mayor Lewis, members of the council, I competed against Rick Acuna from the Parks and Recreation Department, and we were each on one end of the court, and we had 30 seconds to score as many points as we could. And my dad just happened to have been there and recorded me on his iPhone. So we have a quick 30-second video that the mayor would like to show you. And keep in mind, this is an iPhone camera.
Please. Okay, this is Kurt. That was a miss, but now it's in. Watch this, without any warm-up. Goes back to the three-point line, and it's in. Here's the layup. Comes back to the free throw line. It's in. It's in. And then time is running out, so that last one does not count. Let's hear it for Kurt Sharp, representing Gilbert. Can you believe that? That is amazing. We're just honored to say you're part of the Gilbert team, Kurt. Thank you. And also, and Kurt led the way, representing Gilbert. The third annual East Valley Mayor's Prayer Breakfast was held today in Scottsdale. As you know, Gilbert really set a standard last year by being the host. It was a great event. And so maybe on just shifting still on basketball, the keynote speaker was Jerry Colangelo. And he focused in his keynote address on the seven ups. Here they are. Wake up, dress up, shut up, stand up, look up, reach up, lift up. And then I guess he might say, end up. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Very nice.